When you think of childhood, what memories come to mind? Perhaps you're thinking of kids swinging on a playground. Maybe they're running around on a field with a soccer ball, or sitting at a desk in school learning to read and write. For Ishmael, his childhood was extremely different. At age 12, he was forced to become a soldier. As soon as he was handed an AK 47, he would never be the same again. Ripped from his family, his home, and everything he'd ever known, he was transformed into a gun-toting, relentless soldier who stopped at nothing until death. A Long Way Gone is the memoirs of a boy soldier, Ishmael Bey, who explains his involvement in the Sierra Leone Civil War. The war began in 1991, creating a world of utter chaos and violence for 11 consecutive years. The involuntary recruitment of children, as early as 8 years old, by the Revolutionary United Front was unbelievable. Sierra Leone was a country with a massive diamond reserve. Therefore, the competition for seizing control of lucrative diamond-producing regions was extremely intense. The war was an attempt by the rebel armies to primarily gain control of the diamond mines from the government troops. This was the first cause of many for the war, and the conflict continued to escalate rapidly. Before joining the Civil War Army, Ishmael spent his days immersed in rap music and practicing his dance moves. A certain innocence lingers within children, not grasping imaginatively that death will come eventually. War destroys these children. Ishmael soon spent his days standing at the front lines, watching war films, or doing drugs. There is no time to be alone or to think. It's as if nothing exists outside his reality. Dreams of glory are replaced by the realization of war, drowning in feelings of hopelessness. Innocence is not only lost, but corrupted, and the vulnerability of children is twisted into murderous rage. People use child soldiers considering that they are easier to intimidate and will follow instructions blindly. They are less likely to escape and will never question the authorities.
You'll get used to it, everybody does eventually, is what they all say. But they lie. As a soldier, fear subsides as they are forced to tap into rage and vengeance in order to survive. Constant violent acts subject an addiction to harmful substances in order to tamp down the terrifying nightmares of battle. Boys must obey the general's orders or they will die. This involves mercilessly killing everyone without a second thought and slicing prisoners' necks on demand. They turn it into a game, racing to gain victory from being responsible for the first prisoner dead. Kids turn to drugs as a coping mechanism to deal with the severity of their acts to reduce feelings of fear and guilt.
Child soldiers lose their identity. Their values and morals are overthrown by the brainwashing generals. Some children are involved because they have nothing left, others because it's a safer place to be. However, rather than providing comfort and security to the children, the generals conscript them and use their grief as an advantage to develop a ruthless soldier. Generals turn children into fierce warriors by subjecting them to a brief period of terror and physical abuse, also known as socializing them into violence. Their strategy to break down every boy is successful, and they then build them up the way they want. The rebels are responsible for everything that has happened, the soldiers are told repetitively. They kill your family, your friends. They are inhuman and don't deserve to live. The generals indoctrinate the children, executing a common brainwashing process by making them visualize the enemy. Loss of self is replaced by rage, violence, and civilization ceases to exist. The anguish of losing friends and family is compounded by the uncertainty of each day. The Revolutionary United Front raided villages, setting the houses on fire and leaving nothing but a village of ashes. Families sitting inside were burned to death, unable to escape. They then captured the children into its ranks and forced them to witness or take part in torture and execution of their own relatives and friends. This traumatizing experience rips the humanity from virtuous children.
The boys learn that family becomes more situational rather than genetic. The group looks out for one another, leaving no one behind. Squads stick together, reiterating the importance and strength in the unity of friendship. Their intense connection immediately creates a powerful bond between them. All they have left is each other. They are a support team, managing grief together, and with this comes a slice of hope that there is potential for things to improve. 3 years after his recruitment, Ishmael is rescued by UNICEF, a group dedicated to rehabilitating child soldiers. They help children by sending them to school and encouraging everyone to discover and express their own views and opinions. During his rehabilitation, Ishmael discovers hope once more by relearning how to trust, love, and have the will to survive. Once rehabilitation begins, Bey's hope is rekindled. He meets many children like himself and sees that his experiences can have an impact on the world. His life begins to truly have meaning again. The main human rights violated in this book were Article 5 and Article 26. Article 5 mentions that no one shall be subjected to torture or to cruelty, inhuman or degrading treatment of punishment. As children were tortured, beaten, and threatened to join the army, such atrocities have violated this law. Article 26 states that everyone has a right to education. During this time, children were often tracked and targeted at schools to be taken to the army. They were denied the right to receive education and were forced to fight. In my opinion, A Long Way Gone was an intense yet intriguing read. War is a difficult subject to comprehend, yet the book highlights the devastating story of war through the eyes of a child successfully. Ishmael was courageous, honest, and did a remarkable job for shedding light on the life of child soldiers. The book raised consciousness and motivated political action to put a stop to this brutality and corruption of the regimes involved in the use of child soldiers. The book didn't move me as much as I thought it would, although it had the immense potential to do so. I didn't quite share his trauma and pain at a visceral level, but I did have a deeper understanding of the suffering and fear these soldiers experienced. The most effective part of the story for me was his rehabilitation section. His experience was set up in stark relief to the difficulty of his recovery. That contrast and the level of detail that then emerged made for compelling reading. I would recommend this book, An Ultimate Story of Hope and Redemption. Ishmael uses his own story to speak for the thousands of child soldiers whose stories will never be told.